Welcome to College Smart Radio, helping you bring into focus the true cost of college and how to tackle the runaway cost of financing a college education. College Smart Radio is hosted by Beatrice Schultz, a certified financial planner and founder of Westface College Planning. Now, here's your host for College Smart Radio, Beatrice Schultz.
Welcome to College Smart Radio. According to the U.S. Department of Education, on average, only 37% of full-time students are graduating from college in 4 years. If you're planning on getting a 4-year degree in college, most studies suggest you should plan to take 5 or 6 years to get it. We don't agree with this as a reasonable plan. An additional year or two could cost you tens of thousands to $100,000 in extra college costs, living expenses, and lost wages. Completing a bachelor's degree in 4 years pays off in dollars and cents. On today's College Smart Radio program, we're going to talk from a professor's perspective about how to make sure your student graduates in 4 years. Hi, I'm Beatrice Schultz. Welcome to our weekly show, College Smart Radio, where we help you tackle the runaway costs of a college education. Our show is all about bringing up-to-date and practical advice to parents who are dealing with the cost of a college education for their kids. College is expensive and getting more so each year. With the private school costing up to $60,000, a UC costing close to $35,000, and a California State University running $25,000 per year, parents need more help than ever. We bring you that help by sharing ways to pay less, tapping into financial aid, and prioritizing your source of funds to make sure you get through the most expensive years of your life. Based on my own education and experience, I share my insights with you week in and week out. I hold a Bachelor of Science degree in Chemical Engineering and a Master's degree in International Business. I am a certified financial planner and the owner of the San Carlos-based college planning business, Westface College Planning. We host workshops on college planning and consult with parents on a daily basis. In addition to my insights, I bring in experts in many areas of the college process. From counselors, financial aid officers, college administrators, financial professionals, professors, parents, and even students, you'll learn firsthand the ins and outs of how to pay for college and survive financially. In addition to our show, you can find lots of powerful information on our collegesmartradio.com and westfacecollegeplanning.com websites. We have many articles that I've authored with up-to-date information on navigating the waters of paying for the runaway cost of college. We have a monthly e-newsletter full of content about college planning. We also have posted a glossary of key terms used in the world of college planning. Terms like total cost of attendance, FAFSA, student asset, base year, and so forth. And we have a link to our free community parent workshops that we host to teach parents how to pay for college and how the financial aid system really works. Let's get into today's show. An article in the Washington Post earlier this year reported that some of the nation's top public universities are prodding the dallying students toward the graduation stage, trying to change a campus culture that assumes 4-year completion is the exception rather than the rule. A link to this Washington Post article is available on my College Smart Radio website under Resources then Links. That article reported that fewer than half of students graduate in 4 years at 33 of the 50 top state flagship public schools. The overall 4-year graduation rate is 31% for public colleges and 52% for private ones. That's what the federal government reported this year, and that's in line with the average 37% that I mentioned earlier in the show. The universities of Virginia, North Carolina, Michigan, and UC Berkeley are 4 of the prominent public universities who are considered exceptions, with on-time graduation rates of 70 to 85%, which are high numbers. University of Virginia at 85% is the highest among public flagship schools. 4 years and out is a long tradition at private colleges, a value that private colleges are reinforced because parents have to pay the bills and they tend to be more expensive. But public universities are getting more expensive. But by contrast, they've long tolerated the 5 or 6 year degree. But too often that slow track leads to nowhere. The longer it takes people to graduate, the less likely they're going to graduate at all, which may mean dropping out of college without a degree, but with student loans, a horrible scenario. This year, more public colleges are pledging to graduate students in 4 years. What does that mean, though? I mean, the University of Texas at Austin just announced a push to raise its on-time graduation rate to 70% by 2016 from their current 53%. Colleges are pledging to do everything they can to get students graduated in 4 years, because that's what parents want to hear. But why do we have this lackluster 4-year graduation rate? According to this article, students and administrators cite a tangle of academic and social factors common to most of these schools. First, many students don't even take enough classes to finish in 4 years. The average student is taking 14 credit hours per semester, too few to attain the required 120 in 4 years. Some university leaders say the key problem is needing a job. By senior year, most students are holding on or off-campus jobs, and therefore they don't want to take a full course load. Second, some academic programs, including some majors in engineering and education, are actually designed to take 5 years. So those are going to take the statistics down. Although the American college is built on a 4-year model, some programs are stretched into 4 years, do stretch those 4 years into 5. Third point, budget cuts. Budget cuts have led to academic bottlenecks. There's a big demand, especially for introductory courses that are part of graduation requirements for a large number of students. Typically, there are not enough available classes for every student to graduate in 4 years. That's what the colleges are reporting. And fourth, the fourth reason why statistics may be low is that students are declaring a second or even a third major, believing or driven by the conviction that graduate schools favor overachievers. Many of these students are taking a year or two to choose their first major, second major, third major. It may be taking them 5 or 6 years to graduate. When students understand what they can do to get good grades, they're more likely to be able to manage a full workload and complete all the courses they need to graduate more quickly. These same students will enter the workforce with the skills needed to effectively compete at the work level also. So what are the tips that students need to know to get good grades, which will lead to graduating in 4 years? My guest on today's College Smart Radio show is here to share with us some of these tips. Jeremy Hyman is a professor of philosophy at the University of Arkansas. An expert in early modern philosophy, Jeremy has taught at the University of Arkansas, UCLA, MIT, and Princeton University. He received the University of California Regents Award for distinguished teaching. Jeremy is the co-author of the book, The Secrets of College Success. Hi, Jeremy. Welcome to College Smart Radio.
How are you today, Beatrice?
I'm great. Thanks so much for joining us on the show. I started the show by sharing some statistics on how few students are graduating in 4 years with a college degree. Are these numbers shocking to you?
No, we're pretty used to it. The average time to degree in this country is about 6.5 years for the so-called 4-year state university, somewhat less at private universities, as you mentioned. But what's most surprising is that at community colleges, where almost half the students in this country are enrolled, the average time for the 2-year associate's degree can really take up to 4 or 5 years. So on all levels of the American college experience, colleges has broadened out. There are many reasons, some of which you've gestured at already.
Yeah, it's the numbers are shocking, and the community college numbers are can be distorted, but it's unfortunate how often also some of those kids, even after 4 years, aren't coming out with any kind of degree. So, Jeremy, you're a professor. You talk to students all day long, and you're teaching them. What are your tips, or what do you recommend? What are the steps that parents and students should be thinking about before they even start college to plan to graduate in 4 years?
Well, let's start with the parents first. Parents are usually the engine of the finances of the family. This extends to most 18 or 19-year-old college students. Older or returning students, of course, have a different profile. The first thing we'd recommend is that you ensure that your student be well capitalized. That is, that he or she have enough money to really navigate, especially the first year or two of college. Now, in some families, there's great premium placed on the student working as well as going to college. I went to college at the University of Michigan, and we had many friends who would work washing dishes in the cafeteria, not so much because they needed the money, but because there was a positive moral value in having to work. We think one should attend, if possible, to one's studies full time. Now, I realize that not in every case is this possible, but sometimes the families do have sufficient resources to bend back a little bit and to offer up a really good package. We also would encourage students to take advantage, of course, of all different loans and all different financial aid packages. And if you're picking a college and two schools are very similar one to another, you mentioned UCLA and UNC and UVA, suppose your kid is choosing among those, you should really take a hard look at the financial aid offers you receive from them. Another thing is for students already in college, one should realize that the first offer is the not necessarily last offer. What do I mean? You come into a university and you have funding for a number of years. You enroll in a major. Sometimes they're grants or fellowships especially dedicated to those majors. I would recommend every year, in addition to filling out the financial aid form, that you investigate the possibility for your student of additional funding.
I think that we really encourage continuing to, well, first of all, having a funding plan before you start college. Maybe you don't have the cash, but you have a plan of where you're going to get that capital. I think that's a really good point, Jeremy. So from an academic perspective, what would be some of the tips that you might recommend, or success once you do get into college? You've figured out how you can afford 4 years, but you certainly don't want to pay for 5 or 6.
Well, there are two ways, one at the door to college, the other as you progress through the college years. At the door, we think it's very important that you get what's coming to you. For example, many students have AP credit or are able to place out a very, very different requirements, for example, the language or the math requirement, but students coming in are skittish. They think the college-level math course is going to be much, much harder than what they took in high school. Or they think if they've taken a couple of years of Spanish or Mandarin or Arabic or whatever language it might be, that the placement test that they are offered at the door doesn't accurately gauge their skills. And also they're just scared. So what they do is they set themselves back. They take Spanish 1. They take college algebra instead of taking something that would be A, more to their level, but B, would generate credit for the coursework they've already done in high school.
Jeremy, I think that's a great example. In fact, many of the students I talk to, or the families I talk to, go, well, we took these AP classes, but we're not sure if we're going to get credit for them. Let me interrupt you for a quick break here. You're with us on College Smart Radio, where my guest today is Jeremy Hyman, author of The Secrets of College Success. We all know that college is expensive and will most likely be some of the most costly years for a family. The longer it takes to graduate, the more expensive that college degree becomes. To help families be on this radio show, I host community workshops around the Bay Area several times a month that explain the cost of various colleges, how the financial aid system works, and things to consider to prepare yourself for this tremendous expense. You can find my workshop schedule at collegesmartradio.com. We'll be right back with Jeremy Hyman on College Smart Radio.
For more information on today's topic, visit collegesmartradio.com or call area code 650-587-1559. College Smart Radio continues in moments on AM 1220 KDOW. Contact Beatrice Schultz at collegesmartradio.com or call area code 650-587-1559. Now, back to College Smart Radio with your host Beatrice Schultz on AM 1220 KDOW.
Welcome back to College Smart Radio, where we help you tackle the runaway costs of college. I'm Beatrice Schultz. I'm talking with my guest, Jeremy Hyman, about a professor's perspective on how to make sure your student graduates in college in 4 years. Jeremy, we were just discussing some tips from an academic side of how to make sure you graduate in 4 years, and I interrupted you partway through your tips.
We were talking about, before the break, of things one might do at the doorway to college. One other thing one might do is many students, especially at the UC, are transferring from junior colleges or two-year colleges or city colleges or from a Cal State college. One of the main things that transfer students should try to do is to make sure they get credit for all the coursework they've previously taken. Now, many states, and California's in the vanguard, have what are called articulation agreements. These are posted agreements on a website which show you exactly what courses will transfer to your new four-year college. However, in many instances, there are courses which conceivably you could get credit for, but which aren't on the approved canonical list. For example, Suppose you were an art major and you took a course at your community college in painting or sculpture. It might be that at the four-year college, those are not standard lower division